So my homegirl asked about this experience I had with what I believe was an angel. And instead of like just texting it to her, I feel like it's lightweight important to talk about it publicly because God experiences are super important. And this happened to me probably around Christmas time of last year, after for whatever reason, and I keep in all my videos, or most of them, I keep going back to like this breakup. But like, dude, this breakup like really rocked me for whatever reason, dude. Like, it really rocked me. The whole situation was just totally crazy and weird, and I felt like I was totally in love, and like all this, everything happened after this. Like, everything really happened. Stuff started happening before the breakup, but it really happened afterwards. So for whatever reason, this relationship totally rocked my life and threw me into like this spiritual weirdness, like the spiritual realization, like this I was like shook. I realized so in so many ways, in so many instances, and through so many experiences that I had after that, dude, God is real. And if you don't believe, that's on you, because like I said in other videos, I was not a believer either. But this whole situation rocked my life, and I'm thankful it happened. It sucks that it happened the way it did, but it happened. And so this was after the breakup or whatever, like a couple months. And like I said, around Christmas time. And I was still really going through it, dude. Like, I was still so like depressed and in like a weird state. My son wasn't here, and he was like my support system, like my poor 6-year-old at the time, you know, like he made me laugh. He was like my everything, my rock, everything that I was going through. And he wasn't here, like I said, and it was just a really weird time, really depressing, sad time for me. And on top of being here by myself, like, I didn't publicize my stuff. I didn't have anybody to really confide in. So I honestly worked through all that alone. I think that that's probably why, like, maybe all this would have happened sooner if I had been alone, you know, like with my son's dad or something, because that was a really shitty situation too. So if I would have been able to process everything by myself in my own head and my own time, then maybe this would have happened sooner. But everything happens for a reason, and this whole situation happened, and now we're here, and I'm thankful. I'd gotten back home from dropping my son off in Cleveland, because he goes there for like Christmas breaks and stuff like that, or had been, or whatever. And I got home on a Monday, which I have off, and had planned to go run my errands and everything. My car wouldn't start. Totally bummed, like whatever. Long story short, I had to take an Uber all week to work. And at this time, I didn't live right down the street from my job. So like, weird shit was happening, like technical difficulties wise. Like, my app wasn't working for Uber, so it was like fucking 6 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like praying that my phone goes through, because for whatever reason, it wasn't working. Like, it just wasn't loading. And every time I would try to click it, it was just a really frustrating situation, because obviously, like, I had no other option than to take the Uber. So I'm like, dude, like, can you just let me take the Uber? You know what I mean? Like, can you just let this go through? So like, after pressing the buttons a million times, eventually it happened. I couldn't figure out what the heck was going on with this app all week. Like I said, this was Monday. It was happening Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, on top of all the stuff that was going on with my car. And my car had to obviously go into the shop or whatever. So like, that was irritating. And it was just like really stupid. I was just so irritated and just going through it. But I just rolled with it, because what else can you do? You know what I mean? A couple times I got frustrated, but it is what it is. So like, the last time, my last Uber, I want to say, oh no, it was Thursday. So it was a Thursday. All this started happening on a Monday. This was Thursday. I was really like, because I was by myself, I really wanted to meditate on like communicating with my spirit guides, because like I said, all this spiritual stuff was happening to me after this breakup. And the one time that I actually get before, you know, so shit can get creepy, but like not while my son's here type of stuff. Like if I get possessed by a demon or something because I'm meditating on all this, I don't want my son to be here for it. So like I took advantage of the opportunity, went super like deep into meditation and just talked to like my angels, spirit guides, whatever. Like at the time, I really honestly didn't know, like I still don't know honestly who was communicating with me, but I was getting signs like everywhere, all over the place, like through numbers, through like songs playing on the radio and stuff like that would correlate with what I was thinking or sad about or like whatever. And I was just like super, like I need validation. I'm the type of person who like constantly questions their intuition. And if I get like this intuitive sense about something, I'm like, so what does it really mean? You know what I mean? I overthink it and stuff like that. So I was just really seriously meditating. I wanted to meet the being, the spirit, whatever you want to call it, that was communicating with me, like hardcore. Like I really wanted to. And I was meditating on it heavy, and I drove a lot, like a lot, like super far from here, 3 hours, 4 hours type of stuff. And I would be in the car all day long. So I took advantage of those opportunities, and I'm very thankful for that job, even though it drove me crazy towards the end because I was just done with it. It served its purpose. It gave me a lot of alone time. It gave me a lot of reflection time. And I was, you know, really honestly, truly alone, because a lot of the times driving through the mountains to these destinations, 3 and 4 or 5 hours away, like there was no service. So I had like no music, no reception on the radio, like nothing. I couldn't call anybody. Like it was just me in my head. So I really started to delve into prayer a lot, and I started talking to God, and I started talking to my angels around me. Like, so on this particular day, it was a Thursday, I went to the destination that's super far away. And on a certain point, which I don't know how this is relevant, but I just feel like it's a part of my story or a part of this story, so I'm going to say it. But this certain part of the freeway going towards my destination, I suddenly got this like so super sleepy sense of feeling like that overcame me, like super sleepy. It was like 7 o'clock in the morning, 7:30 at this time probably, and I had my coffee. I was like geared up and ready to go, and all of a sudden I was just like super freaking sleepy, and I couldn't understand it. I'm like, that's super weird. So then on the way there, I did my thing, came back, whatever, and then all of a sudden like I get super stupid sleepy again. Like I'm gung-ho, like ready to get home. The adrenaline's kicking in. I'm pushing the gas pedal on 65 because that's as far as or as fast as my car will go. And I'm just like ready to get home, you know, because I've been driving all day. And all of a sudden I get super stupid sleepy again. And I'm just like, what is this? Like literally my eyes were closing. It was the weirdest thing. I still don't understand it, like I said. But I looked up and I was just like, dude, like, where are you at right now? When you got super stupid sleepy like this earlier, you were at the same point of this freeway. So for whatever reason, that happened to me. But after that happened and I realized where I was and that it likely wasn't a coincidence that this happened to me, I just started talking to my guides. I was just like, angels, guides, God, whoever is communicating with me, I want to know who you are. I want to see you. I'm like, make yourself known to me. I'm getting chills right now saying it, but I'm like, make yourself known to me. And I catch my Uber home. Like I'm still having issues with this app, right? It's just not going through, and I'm just like super like, what the heck, dude? So I'm standing outside my job. It finally goes through. I jump in the car and we're on our way. We had this bomb vibing conversation. His name is Armando. And bomb vibing conversation. And we were talking about like living off the land and like the presidential election, all that stuff, and like the coronavirus and how it like affected the Uber drivers and all that stuff. And it was just a bomb conversation. But I think he was Puerto Rican or Mexican, and he was telling me his girlfriend and her kids, they're native, and he was thinking about opening up a business on the land and just living simply. And that was totally just like what I was at the time vibing on and still am vibing on is just living simply. So like the conversation was straight up my alley, you know what I'm saying? So we vibed, had the best conversation ever. And then like even when he pulled up in front of my house, like we just chilled for like 5 minutes after that and just chopping it up or whatever. So great ass conversation. And I was like, actually, you know, my YouTube channel that I started is kind of like on the premise of like all this, just living simply and like my spiritual journey and all this stuff. And he was like, oh, sweet. Link me with that before you leave. And I'm like, yeah, dope, for sure. So I'm telling him the name of my channel and I'm just like, Sam I Am, you know, like Dr. Seuss, but like I, you know, and I'm like, okay, Sam_I. And he was just like seemingly really confused. And I was like, okay, just give me your phone. Or he handed me the phone or something. He's like, oh, maybe you should just type it in or whatever, however it happened. And I'll never forget, because this is what rocked me and what made me like realize, like, it's just not, it was just the feeling, dude. Like when he looked at me, like he turned around. So he's in the front seat, I'm in the back. He turned around and his head was still down and he was handing me his phone. And the way he looked up to me, like he hesitated. And it was really strange because I didn't get those vibes from him through our vibing conversation. Like we had a great conversation. He didn't seem like apprehensive or shy or bashful or anything. And all of a sudden he turned so slowly. And it was not like he was shameful, but just kind of like he was afraid to look up at me. Apprehensive to look up to me. There's something about them. Like they weren't just normal blue. Like they were like crystal waters. It was the weirdest thing. And I'll never forget like his face when he looked at me and his eyes, dude. Like it was weird. So I get in the house. I'm still having trouble with this app. And I'm like, okay, snap out of it. You got to tip this dude because he like was super cool and everything. So I'm refreshing the app. And I'm like getting so irritated because I'm like, dude, like at least let me tip him. If I don't tip him, he's going to be like this shitty person. We had this bomb conversation and I was so cool with her and she didn't even tip me though, you know? So I'm like, gotta tip him. Eventually, like it somewhat kind of loads, I guess. And then it pops up, not the tip part, but it pops up that I scheduled a future Uber drive with him, the same driver, the next morning, 1:11 in the morning. And I'm just like looking at it, I'm like, I'd never even like, I didn't even know you could do that. You know what I'm saying? Like I never really took Uber all like that. Like I didn't know you could schedule with the same driver and stuff like that, let alone at 1:11 in the morning. So I'm like, okay, that's kind of strange, right? So I started recording my experience that had just happened because like I was still shook by it. And I felt like probably a couple minutes into it, I'm just sitting on my couch. Like I said, I'm here by myself. It's just quiet. I had just gotten in. I was probably in the house for maybe 20 minutes, just downloading what just happened and trying to translate it into this video and tip this guy at the same time. And all this stuff was happening. So I even have the video on my phone still where like I'm talking about it. And then all of a sudden, like I just kind of drop a little bit and I'm like, I gotta stop. I'm like, I gotta go to bed. Because literally like the same feeling just like overtook me and I was just so sleepy so suddenly. It was the weirdest thing. Just like earlier, that happened 2 times to me on the same stretch of the freeway for whatever reason that happened there. Like, I don't know. But after it happened on the freeway, I was like hardcore, like talking to my guides, talking to God, talking to whoever it was. I was like, whoever is communicating with me, please, I pray that you approach me in a way that's not going to scare me. Because I read online, I was super interested in it off rip, like before any of this happened, but I was too afraid to ask because I heard of like when your angels approach you sometimes, especially in the Bible too, like they'll say like it was the most terrifying thing. Like they were like yay feet tall and huge and, you know, like just terrifying. And it scares people. Like I read modern day testimonies of people encountering their angels and stuff. And they said that it literally scared the shit out of them. Because I want to be drawn to this. I want to be drawn to my faith. I want to be drawn to my guides and my angels and to God. I don't want to be taken aback by it and be so freaked out that I just don't even delve into it again. But I mean, like lightweight, that situation kind of freaks me out a little bit. But not in like a way that I felt like scared or threatened, but now I just don't feel alone. If that makes sense. It's self-known to me in a way that I would not be frightened because of all these testimonies that I read about that were talking about how frightening and terrifying their angel experiences were. So I believe wholeheartedly that that was my angel communicating to me through this man. And just the conversation, how it jumped off, how it was just so coincidental that finally the Uber app worked, and then I got this guy, and he just started to talk about something that I totally vibed with, doing what we're here to do, what God created this earth to do. And that was just like such a coincidental thing that I just don't think was very, very coincidental at all, especially with how I was feeling and how earlier that day had played out in conjunction with later that night. So yeah, that was my experience. If anybody else has had experiences like that, I honestly don't remember if I've ever posted anything about this. I think I did on my Anchor channel thing, but not on this channel. I try not to really go back and look at my videos just because like I'm sick of hearing my voice when I'm editing the videos and stuff. So if I have, I'm sorry, but if not, maybe this will catch somebody else's attention, and maybe you can share your encounters with me. Maybe it's going to be similar, maybe it's going to not be similar, I don't know, but it'd be dope to hear y'all's testimonies if you have any.